Get the hell out of my store!
Walmart will be looking to cut hundreds more jobs, both at its headquarters as well as regional personnel that help manage the stores.
Today, President Donald Trump told Walmart to, quote, eat the cost of rising tariffs so they can keep prices low for consumers.
Walmart plans to cut about 1,500 jobs in a restructuring aimed at trimming its expenses and speed up decision making.
Trump just told Walmart to eat the tariffs. Walmart heard him loud and clear and said, "Sure, we'll eat them. But we're serving pink slips for dessert." Boom, 1,500 jobs gone. Welcome to America, where Make America Great Again sometimes means making a lot of Americans unemployed. So here's what happened. Trump jumped on his favorite soapbox, Truth Social, and blasted Walmart for raising prices. He accused them of blaming tariffs to dodge responsibility and told them, "Eat the cost of rising tariffs." That's right. The guy who started the trade war is now mad that companies are acting like there's a trade war. Walmart responded the next day like, "Oh, okay, you want us to eat the cost? Sure, we'll just fire 1,500 people, raise prices anyway, and keep smiling for the cameras." And they weren't even subtle. They literally called it simplifying operations, which is corporate speak for, we trimmed the fat. Except the fat was entire departments of actual humans, most of the cuts? Tech and supply chain, aka the parts that keep the stores running and make sure your bananas actually arrive before they rot in a shipping crate from China. Here's what Trump wants you to believe. That tariffs punish China, here's reality. Tariffs are taxes paid by American companies like Walmart. So when Walmart imports toys, clothes, electronics, things we use to buy before inflation hit like a freight train, they pay the tax, not China. Then Walmart goes, these toys are more expensive now. So they pass that cost to you, the American shopper. So yeah, you're eating the tariffs. Walmart's just the waiter handing you the bill with a smirk. Walmart relies on overseas imports. About 60% of their products come from China. That's 6 out of 10 things in your shopping cart. Tariffs went from 145% to 30%. Sounds like a win, right? Wrong. That 30% is still a sucker punch to their already tiny profit margins. They can't eat the cost without choking on it. Trump's whole America First strategy was supposed to protect jobs. Instead, companies like Walmart, Target, and Best Buy are bracing for impact like it's 2008 again, but Trump isn't backing down. Nope, he's standing at rallies, telling his fans that Walmart's just whining and that real patriots absorb taxes for the team. Because what's more American than going bankrupt in silence? Meanwhile, American families are just trying to survive the grocery aisle. Prices are up, wages are flat, and people are skipping essentials just to stay afloat.
Chinese government pays a tariff.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
How you doing?
I'm an importer and exporter for 20 years. When a product comes into the US, there's something called a tariff sheet.
Okay.
I, as the buyer of that product, follow US law and pay the tariff. I'm an American citizen, an American taxpayer. I pay that tariff to the US government, and that increase in the cost, I then sell to you for a higher price because I've got to cover that tariff.
Then what about,
what do you say
our tariffs are higher when they go overseas as opposed to theirs coming here?
Tariffs are never a zero-sum game. Tariffs are a tool. For example, you might say, you want to sell us your beans.
Yeah.
We are going to give you a low tariff if you buy our corn. But the cost of the tariff is ultimately always borne by the consumer.
Don't you think at the end of the day there may be more competition within the market of the U.S. government?
And you're confusing the question. This is not a question of competition. The point we're discussing is who bears the cost of the tariff.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you if it's good policy for the U.S. government to tax beans and for the Chinese government to tariff corn. But what I can absolutely assure you is that a product that comes into the U.S. is paid for by a U.S. company, and the increased cost of that is borne by all of us. I am an importer and exporter. I do it for a living.
Okay. Then what's the alternative? If at one point in our country's history was tariffs that paid for our economy?
tariffs don't pay for your economy.
But they did. We didn't have income taxes before.
That was before we had municipal infrastructure.
Correct. My understanding is that the tariff is lopsided to benefit other countries as opposed to ours. The suggestion is just to bring it up to make it equal.
That's why you have free trade agreements, right?
Right.
But it doesn't mean that even within the free trade agreement, they are not tariff. If there's one thing you should take away from this extended conversation, is you are always paying the tariff.
You know what? I'm not educated in that. Fair enough.
Yes.
It was a pleasure.
Let's go.
It was a pleasure.
Thank
The average household is paying $2,800 more per year because of these tariffs. That's not a small inconvenience. That's a vacation, a month's rent, or like a couple dozen eggs these days. And what's Walmart doing while all this burns? They're not panicking, they're rebranding it as a strategic makeover. We're building a more responsive, agile workforce. Translation, we're cutting 1,500 jobs and hoping you'll thank us for it. They're even proud of it, trimming staff in tech and supply chain. Wow, let's just remove the engine from the car and call it weight reduction. Retailers are now avoiding imported goods, slashing store upgrades, and canceling long-term investments. Why? Because nobody can plan for a future built on random tweet storms and economic roulette. Shoppers are pulling back, spending less, choosing store brand over name brand. Because nothing says economic recovery like choosing between dinner and deodorant. The truly mind-melting part? Some folks are still cheering Trump for taking a stand. They'll applaud while prices go up, jobs get cut, safety nets vanish. And Walmart turns into Amazon's awkward cousin who can't keep up. It's like watching people clap for a magician who just made their paycheck disappear. If this made sense to you, stick around and subscribe. This isn't just about Trump or Walmart. This is about a system where political theater costs real people their jobs, their groceries, and their damn patience. But sure, let's keep shouting America first while we outsource consequences to working families, because in this circus, the clowns are running the tent, and the rest of us? We're just trying to buy a loaf of bread without applying for a loan. Truth's getting harder to find. Subscribe so you don't miss it when it shows up.